Hello, Redeemed Righteous family. It is great to be back. Today I'm about to do another book review for a book that a lot of people have been talking about, and I was like, okay, I need to see what all the hype is about. So today I'm going to be doing a book review for a book called Relationship Goals. It was published this year, so it's very new, and it's by Michael Todd. He's usually known as Mike Todd. So Mike Todd is a pastor who's based in America, and he leads a church called Transformations Church. He's married and he has 3 kids. They recently did their vows renewal as well. And that blew up on social media. And Mike Todd has become really popular because of the way he's able to use the Bible to relate to today. You know, he makes a lot of current examples, and his background is in music, so because of that, a lot of the times he makes a lot of reference to pop culture, and of course that attracts a lot of people because it's relevant and it really brings the Bible to life, and that's something that you do see throughout the book. I'm just going to take you through the structure of the book, talk about a few things that I've learned from the book, and then I will rate the book. So the structure, in terms of the structure, there are 9 chapters in the book, and I would say it was an easy read because the language was, the language was very accessible. There were a lot of references to America. He is American, so that's expected. But even though, I'm not American, I could still relate to a lot of those examples that he gave. So that worked really, really nicely. And just to show you, I'm going to zoom in just to see. So as you can see, the font is actually not that small at all. It was an easy read just in general, and how the chapters have been split also is really, really, really nice. And the style is very conversational. So a lot of the times, if you decide to go and watch Mike Todd preach, it feels like he's preaching, which I feel like it really works. It works very nicely, and there's a lot of examples that he uses. As a pastor, he's counseled so many different couples at different stages in their relationship journeys, and again you see that. And in chapter 8, actually, his wife joins in, and she also writes her bit, which I thought was very, very lovely, and I think it was a nice touch because it brought that female perspective as well, which I feel like we need as well. So that was fantastic. So the main premise of the book really is to talk about relationship goals. So, the relationship goals has become a thing on social media. You will go on Insta and you will see a couple in matching tracksuits, and they'll put hashtag relationship goals. And Mike Todd recently did a series called Relationship Goals in his church whilst he was preaching. And, this is how the book came about. And it's just really challenging Christians to really think about what relationship goals should look like, because it has been defined by society, and what Mike Todd puts forward in his book, that actually we shouldn't take what society has defined. When we think of relationship goals, some power couples will come to mind, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, William and Kate, Jada and Will, maybe not them actually now, but those were the kind of people that were coming to mind. But actually, Mike Todd is saying that the best relationship goals we can get actually is from the Bible, and the way he brings it to life is so fantastic. And I love how he made that caveat. He got very real in this book and said that actually it is true that the Bible, there's nowhere in the Bible that gives you, that will say, for example, give you 20 rules that you have to use whilst you're dating or whilst you're courting. However, there are things in the Bible that can help us, to court, to marry, to have good relationships in a way that pleases God. And, it's a good example of what godly relationships should be like. And when he said that, that really hit me. And I would say that this book is not just for singles. You could be single, divorced, waiting to mingle, married. I think it's for all levels as well. And I think that's actually amazing that the book is actually able to do that. I think there's a take home for everyone as well. And one of the key lessons that I learned from this book actually, and that's what made me go and get it, because one of my sisters from church recommended it, and he gives the stages of relationships, specifically romantic relationships. So he said it starts with friendship, then comes dating, then comes engagement, then comes marriage, then comes love, then comes children. So initially, when my sister from church said that to me, love comes after marriage, I was just thinking, that's a bit strange. Why would you date someone that you don't love, or why would you get engaged to someone that you don't love? But the point that Mike Todd puts forward is that the love that God expects us to love, it's hard to show that love when you're dating someone, because when you're dating, you're just trying to really impress the person. So it's, although you really, really like the person, it's still quite sacrificial. It's when you enter into marriage that you've actually made that conscious decision that you're going to be committed to the person for the rest of their life, that even when the person's not even looking nice, you're still standing by them. Or if your spouse gets a health issue or health condition, you stick by them. That's actually what true love is. So that really challenged me to see marriage and love in a whole different light. So I'm going to share some of my favorite quotes with you, and then I'll share a story and the lesson that I've learned from it, and then I will rate the book for you. So my first favorite quote is when Mike Todd says, "When we don't wait on the Lord, we give the enemy the chance to introduce us to counterfeits. Then we deal with the results of mistakes and have to get healed and delivered from something God never meant for us to experience." This really hit me because I do think that, especially in the Christian circles, when guys and girls, but I feel like girls get it more, when you get a certain age, you're expected to get married, and that pressure can actually cause you to go for the counterfeit. And Mike Todd uses the example of like Isaac and Ishmael. Sarah thought she was helping her husband by, making her servant get pregnant for her husband, but actually that caused a counterfeit blessing. That wasn't what God wanted. And it really hit me that God's blessing means sometimes we have to wait. And another thing he said, I can't remember the quote, but when you buy the book, you'll see it. And Mike Todd makes the point that the Bible, in Genesis, when it says that Adam was alone, the Bible never says his age. And that's actually really powerful. I didn't see it like that. The reason why God in his own wisdom didn't say Adam's age, because let's say if Adam was 25 and then Eve came along when he was 25, we would probably put that pressure on ourselves that we all have to get married at 25. But the fact that God in his own wisdom didn't mention Adam's age, it means that we all have our own journeys and we all have our own race. Some people get married at 30, some people get married at 21, but it's not about the age, it's just about your journey and when you're ready. So that really, really hit me. The second quote, actually, it made me cringe, but it's so true, and I think we need to hear this. So in the second quote is, "Sex was never meant." Actually, no, this is not the quote that makes me cringe. We'll get onto that. "Sex was never meant as a leisure pastime for single people. It's a pleasure and purpose connection for married couples." And I think it's good. It was refreshing to hear that, especially from a pastor, because you don't really traditionally hear these from pastors. But actually, a lot of the time we've been made to kind of think that Christians don't like sex and sex is a bad thing. Actually, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that it's the best in marriage. And just to hear that and that reiterated was actually really, really good. And then the next quotation that I really, really liked, Mike Todd says, sex is about the coolest thing about going when it's inside the context that God meant for it to be. And not only is it cool, it's powerful, really powerful. So this is Mike Todd, like this sounds like him, this is how he preaches. So powerful that it can take distinct qualities of two different people and join them together to create another life with a unique God-given DNA, personality and purpose. So again, he's really, really dispelling the myth, demystifying the idea that sex is a bad thing, sex is evil, sex is a sin. It's not. Sex is a gift that God has given to husband and wife, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's really important that we hear that and we spread that message, because God made it in his own wisdom, but there's conditions with it. And I think for me, if I didn't take anything away from this book, this really hit me, because a lot of the times, I remember, when we were growing up and we would go to church programs and stuff like that, we would hear a lot that don't have sex before marriage. And I was like, okay, cool, I get that, but why? And you just hear, don't have sex before marriage. But this really summed up why God in his own wisdom has left marriage has left sex for marriage. This really makes sense. And the quote is, "The reason why it's so important for you to understand that understand the power of even so-called casual sex is because there's no condom for your heart. You might be able to protect your physical body against things that can be transmitted sexually, but what about things that are transmitted spiritually? Like, that really hit me. Like, that's just such a powerful image. You know, like, I remember at uni, you know, people would be like, yeah, you know, I've had a one night stand and I don't feel anything for that person. But then when you see the person with another girl, you're getting jealous. Or when you see the girl with another guy, you know, you're jealous because you know, you've had sex with them. That's intimate. That's, you know, that's big. You've given part of yourself to them and you've taken part of the, you know, that person's self. And that's just really powerful. There is no condom for your heart. And that's why in God's own wisdom, he knows that because sex is so powerful, because sex has so much of an impact on human beings, it has to be within, you know, the security of marriage. I'm not saying that people's marriage is perfect, but having sex is the most secure place or institution one can ever have sex is marriage. Yeah, people do wake up one day and decide that they want to walk away from their spouse, but would we not rather have that security of marriage than, you know, being, you know, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, they don't really owe you anything. They can just up and leave. People do it in marriage as well, but, you know, marriage is a bit more sacred. And if you're marrying a Christian, you know, the person will know that actually it's not just that you went to the altar, you were wearing a white dress, he was wearing a suit. Actually, it's more than that. You've both made a vow before one another, but more importantly, before God and with God. So yeah, that really hit me. I'm going to share a story that Mike Todd shared in his book, which was actually really powerful. Again, this shows the level of his transparency. This was in chapter 8. I'll just summarize it. In chapter 8, he was explaining that, and again, one beautiful thing I like about this journey is he doesn't paint him and his wife to have, you know, had their relationship hasn't been easy. You know, they recently celebrated 10 years, their vows renewal, and this book really shows the journey that they've been on, and they've had their ups and downs. And I think it's important for us to see that, because a lot of the times when we see these couples, all we see is them looking really good. We don't see that the work that they've put in. And if there's anything I've taken away from this book, actually, to get the relationship goals you want, which is godly goals, how God wants your marriage to be, how God wants your, you know, your relationship with your fiance to be, with your relationship with your boyfriend, your girlfriend to be, is one that is beautiful, and it takes work. And basically in the story, Mike Todd was talking about how him and his wife, he was going to get gas. Americans say gas, we say petrol. But yeah, they're going to get gas. And his wife was just like, oh, she's going to like get a drink. Yeah, she's going to get a drink, so she's coming back because she's a bit like, she's thirsty. And they were going for a date, but yeah, she was thirsty, so she was going to get a drink. And she got a donut as well. She came back with her drink and her donut. And he was like really annoyed and triggered. He was just thinking, why did this lady not get me a drink? Why did she not get me anything? So then he took the drink from her and he threw it out of the window, and so it blew up. It seems like something so silly, but you know, those of you who are in relationships can testify, whether that's with your sister, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, you know that arguments happen it happens usually because of silly things. But actually he identified that the secondary reason why he was upset was because he just felt like how could you do that? He expected her to know that he wanted a drink, even though he didn't communicate it. And she was just thinking, like, what are you talking about? Bearing in mind they didn't talk for 2 days because of this. And he said that from that he learned that we can't have unexpected expectations in our head, in our relationship, whether that's with your business partner, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. We can't have unexpected expectations because the person's not telepathic. And you know, even as a twin, my twin sister is not. She doesn't, there's some things that if I don't tell her, she doesn't know, vice versa. So we can't assume that people should know. And that he said something, actually, the analysis of that situation was really deep. He said that, so his secondary feeling, the secondary reason as to why he was upset, because he just thought like, you didn't think about me. But when he came to the crux of it, it was more about, he felt that she didn't care about him and he wasn't a priority. So he needed to kind of express that, oh, please, like, babe, honey, whatever he calls his wife, you know, please get me a drink. And that, you know, the argument wouldn't have happened. So that really convicted me and touched me as well. Like, I need to make my communication clear, and all of my relationships and friendships and stuff like that, I need to be clear. If there's certain things that I would expect a friend to do for me, my sister to do for me, you know, I need to kind of voice that out because they're not telepathic. And if they don't do it, it's not that they're being evil or they're being selfish, it's because they just didn't know. Vice versa. In terms of rating relationship goals, out of 5 stars, I think I would give it, I'd give it 4.5. You're probably thinking, why don't you just have the other 0.5 and make it 5? I think I'll give it the 4.5 because I think the stylistic decision to put lyrics in each chapter, that wasn't really my cup of tea, but I kind of get why he did it. Yeah, and it does work, but I would have liked to maybe for him to engage with the quotes a bit more within the chapter and just weave it in a bit more. But apart from that, it's solid. It's very helpful whether you're married, you're divorced, you're dating, you're courting, you're engaged. It is the book for you. So yes, grab your copy now. So like, share and subscribe. I'll be back. Bye.